There are various levels to writing raps and being an MC, and I would argue that Daylyt, amongst many other battle rappers and underground rappers, execute this art form to the highest level. Now, in his response track to Joey Badass's controversial song The Ruler's Back, Daylyt executes many warning shots to Joey with deep hip-hop and East Coast references that went over many of us listeners' heads, but I'm sure the message was received loud and clear by Joey, though I think the battle and the jabs back and forth will continue. And as the war of words does continue, us as the listeners has to tune our ears to a little bit higher level than we're used to get the full appreciation of these songs as they go back and forth and attempt to display the highest level of emceeing and battling on the microphone, which is something Daylyt is very familiar with. And if you're not familiar, here's a quick example from his battle against Tay-Rock, which in my opinion is probably the best, if not one of the best battle rap back and forths of all time.
They say URL only fuck with gun bars. Is that true? Cock shotty, rock body, is statue on the ground man, pound spraying, right with a man standing, K with the folding stock, big hole in rock. Welcome to the Grand Canyon. It'll be less you. If they don't ask God bless you, I'll stretch you.
Now, as you saw on the screen there, the references made in those bars and the number of entendres in that rock scheme playing on Tay-Rock's name was incredible. And it's a much longer scheme. I can't play all of it because of copyright issues and things like that. But this is the level of emceeing that I think we're going to see displayed between this back and forth, as I think many other of the top MCs will jump in at some point during this year in 2025. But for right now, we're going to get into the breakdown of HIYU by Daylyt, response to Joey Badass. Let's get into it. All right, let's start right into it. Verse 1, Daylyt starts off with saying, Mama said be nice to him. My demeanor going right through him. Credit line to the max, we overstacking though. Steez on my arm, we came for capital. Now in those first few lines, he references two songs by Max B, which is why he says credit line to the max. Now the first song he references is Promises, in which the hook goes, niggas gon' always hate is what mama said. Then he follows that up by also referencing another Max B song, Letter to Stack, when he says the line, we overstacking though, which is a shout out to Stack Bundles. Now the last line of this first setup, Steez on my arm, we came for capital, is a shout out to Capital Steez, who started Pro Era with Joey Badass. Daylyt has a tattoo of Capital Steez, Prodigy, and XXXTentacion, all three rappers who passed away and met their demise too early in their lives. Now when he continues in the next line, I stomp on crowns, I wake up towns, there's a few references that can be attributed to these lines. One, Joey Badass being from Brooklyn. There's a town in Brooklyn called Crown Heights. So that could be the I Stomp on Crowns part. It could also be a reference to the controversial Dog Pound video where they were literally going through New York and kicking down the buildings. Now the I Wake Up Towns line is a reference to his name being Daylyt. And then he finishes with, you know my name, boy. I break up clouds, I clear smoke globally. Of course, all that being a reference to his name as Daylyt. Now when he continues and he says, I'm from the era where the scary ninjas sit back, but this rap, so who controlling me? Now, of course, the controlling me line, it could be a direct reference to Kendrick Lamar's Control verse from the Big Sean record Control, but also the I'm from the era where the scary ninjas sit back could be a reference to a line Tupac used in a couple of records where he says, I'm from the city where the skinny ninjas die. Now those references come from the record Straight Ballin' from the Thug Life album and the song Death Around the Corner from Me Against the World. Now when he continues and he says my clock sets for Western time, but I'm in Brooklyn with the best of dimes. Now the first line should be easy to tell that he's referencing being on West Coast energy after he just referenced a Kendrick Lamar song and a Tupac song, both of whom participated in two of the biggest battles in hip hop history. Now the reference to I'm in Brooklyn with the best of dimes not only represents being in Brooklyn with a bad female, but also represents a contest referred to as the Best of Brooklyn or the Brooklyn Dime, which is the top 10 businesses in various categories throughout the Brooklyn area. So with that reference, the next line when he says like, surely I'm one of the best in your city, makes a lot more sense. Then he says, I made a lot of ninjas rest in your city, which is not only a reference to the battles Daylyt has won in New York, but also a reference to New York being the city that never sleeps. Then the last line when he says, I left my mind there, they should put a statue of me in Times Square, could be a reference to the Jay-Z and Alicia Keys record, Empire State of Mind, or the 1997 film, Brooklyn State of Mind. Now, most of the references in verse 2 and 3 are direct, but there's a couple of double meanings that I will go through here, as when he starts the second verse, chopped cheese and fresh butters, LA had in Soho, my brother Soul told me it's another road, you gotta go east to tackle the beast. Now, Soho is one of the areas in lower Manhattan, and Brooklyn, New York is east of Soho. Now, towards the middle of the verse, there's also a couple of lines that I want to reference to have hidden meanings as well. So when he says, okay, I told you ninjas, I'm not your average Joe. Now that of course is a direct reference to Joey Badass's name, but also could be a reference to the title of the song by Kendrick Lamar, Average Joe, from the album Overly Dedicated. Then when he continues in this middle part, to my ninjas out in Harlem, thanks for all you've done. To them ninjas over the bridge, tell them don't be dumb. Now here Daylyt is showing love to Harlem because that is really where the proliferation of the current battle rap scene started. And Daylyt was a member of the battle rap collective Dot Mob, headed by Harlem battle rap legend T-Rex, and also so many other Harlem legend battle rappers such as Loaded Lux, Charlie Clips, Head Ice, Murder Mook, K-Shine, Jay Mills, the list goes on and on. Now Daylyt also references the upcoming album from A$AP Rocky, Don't Be Dumb, and of course it is expected that A$AP Rocky may throw some shots back at Drake as Drake came at him on Family Matters, and they've been throwing shots back and forth for years now. Now, in the third verse, Daylyt starts with what is pretty much an ill water scheme that a lot of people didn't catch. So he starts with, you boys had years to show you the best clear. Now it's people in your class that they consider your peers. It must be the bridge that's making these ninjas showboat. First week sales mean nothing to the flow goat. Now, of course, in the second verse, Daylyt was referencing the Brooklyn Bridge, as that's how you get from Manhattan to Brooklyn. And of course, the water references are the clear, piers, showboat, flow goat, etc. And the last line of this verse, when he says, we cool, but the feeling's still eerie, could be, but this is a reach, it could be a call out to Lake Erie, which covers the northwest coast of New York State, which is where the city of Buffalo resides. And of course, we know Joey Badass's The Ruler's Back was over a Conductor Beat, who is a producer mainly for Griselda, but he also produced the Scary Hours 3 EP by Drake, which preceded the battle between he and Kendrick. And this beat, produced by Daylyt for this record, HIYU, is in the sound of the Conductor Beats as well as Griselda for the most part. And that's why the feeling of this record is still eerie, as in a reference to Buffalo and Lake Erie. But like I said before, that is a reach. And before I get out of here, I almost forgot to break down the title. Now the title is HIYU, spelled H-I-Y-U. Now you, spelled Y-U, is Chinese for shining bright. And of course, we know the thing that provides daylight, which is the sun, is high in the sky. So the title is within itself a reference to Daylyt's name. So that is it. That's all I wanted to cover from this track. Now I know there's a lot of other references and lyrics made in the track, but I felt they were pretty easy to pick up on. They're pretty straightforward and basic for the average hip hop head to pick up. But if there's anything egregious that you feel like I left out, please let me know in the comments below. As always, thank y'all for watching the video. Hit that like button if you haven't hit that like button yet. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Share this video. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Thank y'all for checking in. Thank y'all for being patient about this one. And as always, we out.